If you want to play a convincing jazz solo, you need to use the right vocabulary. In this video, I want to focus on one jazz fundamental that you can add to your improvising arsenal to achieve a better solo. Let's work on the bebop enclosure. A bebop enclosure is a series of notes that approach a target note from both above and below. It sounds something like this. We often use bebop enclosures to embellish and highlight important notes like chord tones. I like to think of it as some seasoning that I add to help enhance the flavor of my phrases and lines. But just like most seasonings, you got to be careful not to overuse it, especially if it's a strong flavor. But before I get too far ahead of myself, let's go over how to form an enclosure and apply it. Though there are several ways to play an enclosure, which I'll cover in another video, so subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for that. Right now, I'm going to use a particular formula to work with for this video. Let's do a 3-note enclosure using the diatonic note above and chromatic step below our target note. Let me play some examples highlighting the 4 chord tones of a major 7th chord, minor 7th chord, and dominant 7th chord. Be sure to play along so you can get used to using the technique yourself. Now that we've got the hang of putting together a 3-note bebop enclosure, let's look at how we might practice applying this technique in a practical way. Let's take a song like Tune Up and focus on playing the bebop enclosure, highlighting the 3rd of each chord. I'm going with the 3rd because it's the most identifiable chord tone of the bunch and will always sound good. Now, a bebop enclosure by itself is not much to behold, mainly because it's so short and concise. It's considered more of an ornament that you add here and there more than anything. The true strength of this technique is realized when you attach it to another technique, like a scale run or arpeggio. Let me play an example where I start every one of my phrases with a bebop enclosure, then continue my phrase with a short scale run. This is just the start of how to form bebop enclosures and apply them into songs you're already playing. To get the most out of the technique, try working this approach into another song you are playing as soon as you can. I'll be making another video where I go more in depth on how to create different variations of bebop enclosures and other ways to experiment putting them into solo phrases. Be sure to subscribe to stay in the loop when I drop that video. Keep up the good work, and I'll see you next time.